Welcome everybody to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. I'm here today with Alex Rudy and Reyes. I'm Alex Uy, and we are gearing up for spring training. It has begun. It is here. There's no more anticipation. It's go time. This is not a drill. How are you guys feeling?
Outstanding.
I'm feeling really excited, ready for baseball.
You guys both sound like it, sort of. But before we get into all the spring training news and stuff, let's talk about some more rule changes in the MLB. This one is not speculation, though. This one has for sure been approved and will be implemented. Is that the intentional walk will now be a manager-issued thing. You will no longer have to throw 4 pitches to get an intentional walk. And as uncontroversial as they probably wanted it to be, it's probably the most controversial thing going on right now. So let's just let's go ahead and get that out of the way and just clear up any confusion about this bullshit, and we'll be on our way. It's definitely going to be part of the game, so we can't do anything about it, but we can definitely rant about it. What you guys got?
I think it's like a rule that wasn't very necessary or needed. It seems like a very pointless change that was just kind of made to kind of show that the MLB continues to be growing, becoming more modern, more entertaining, and more fast paced. I think that's what they were going for. I understand why they did it, but I just think it was really unnecessary, and I don't feel like MLB players really need a signal for intentional walk. I think they're good enough to just throw the pitches and move on.
Yeah, and I mean they're talking about speeding up the game, but intentional walks don't make a game 3.5 hours long. The numbers on intentional walks, you say about average save about a minute per walk, but the intentional walk rate has gone down in the past decade or so. There was about maybe 1 intentional walk per 2.5 games last year. So how much are they really shaving off time by taking away 4 pitches on the intentional walk, which the 4 pitches are not a guarantee, but now they make it a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, you hear the numbers. They seem pretty ridiculous. The fact that they're slicing off this tiny amount of I just don't know what they're doing with this. What are they changing?
It feels like a change just to make a change.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're very antsy to improve the pace of play, and they just need to just fucking leave it alone. Everybody's all up in arms about this. Rudy, your opinion about this was, one of the more generous ones towards Rob Manfred that I've heard. I mean, it's you can't say it enough how unnecessary it is. I mean,
generous in what ways?
You are I kind of get why they did it, just because he's been trying to improve the pace of play, but
I just try to be a realist. I try not to pretend that this game is just gonna stay the way it is forever and be an old curmudgeon. Man, get off my lawn, kids. I understand the game is run by money and these the league's gonna make money motivated moves, but I mean, it's fine. It's not a big deal, but it just feels like you're just really just trying to make this change just so, you can say, look, we're making this game more appealing to young people or something.
Look, we're trying, right?
Yeah.
Well, not very effectively, in my opinion.
I think they know if they really try to make drastic changes, there's no way that, they would be, the upheaval would just be way too much. So I think they're just trying to make, these quick, slow changes, not quick, minor changes, one at a time, and see how people react.
I mean, I mean, if this is how people react to a tiny rule change like this, then I am not looking forward to.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Baseball's a traditionalist game.
Actually, no, I am looking forward to it. I love watching all the controversy happen, and actually, it's so weird. I say controversy. I haven't really seen a lot of arguments for the new rule, to be fair. So, it's very one-sidedly against this new rule. Whatever, it's fine. We basically covered all the main points about this new rule, but a couple. Let's dig a little bit deeper now. So, I am wondering what this is going to mean relative to, like, in relation to pitchers, will they be charged with walks just when the manager goes out and waves his hand and says, "Yeah, we'll put this guy on"? Does that pitcher's whip go up? Like, I don't, like, how does that work?
I would think so. I mean, because I don't know, that'd be way that'd be an unaccounted base runner pretty much. I mean,
yeah, but like,
he's gonna walk.
It's not the pitcher, like.
I know, but
at least with an intentional walk, you know the pitcher is throwing 4 pitches outside the strike zone to walk a batter. But the pitcher just standing there, like, what's he gonna do? Like, there's no. It's no indication. Intentional walks right now aren't really any indication. Like, they do count in walks, but they are listed separately. Like, it's such a infrequent occurrence that it doesn't really affect anything. It's just something to think about. Like, how is this gonna work now that this happens? Another thing, like, can a pitcher still choose to intentionally walk a player, like, by throwing 4 pitches if he wants to? Like, I don't see how they can protect against that. So I guess if the community if all the players just decided we don't like this rule anymore, and they just decide to end up intentionally walk everybody the same way, then I mean, if that's really not realistic. I think it would be more in the case of like you give up a double and now manager wants to get another pitcher loose, you can waste some time by throwing the 4 pitches. I don't know. It's just like little things like this that you never thought you'd have to think about. Like, the game is in, like, you always take the rules as like these are the rules and this is how it works and will always work, even though that's, it's not true, but that's just how you think of them. Anyway, I think
I don't know, you might be overthinking that a little bit.
I am overthinking it for sure, but what else am I gonna do?
I mean, is that our job to overthink things?
That's our job is to overthink.
Our job is to overthink
on behalf of those who don't give a shit. Yeah. So I think that's more than enough about the intentional walk rule. So let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about spring training. There's a lot to look out for in spring training. Everybody's in the best shape of their life, it seems, right now, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
That's the message you get from all the reports. Yeah, Pablo Sandoval's in the best shape of his life again, I'm sure. Josh Hamilton's knee is injured again. It's all the same stories. It's basically they basically recycle the stories.
Josh Hamilton might be the only guy not in the best shape of his life right now.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. No, I'm not actually joking about the knee injury though. Like, he's
I know.
Can I honestly ask something? Why are the Rangers still bothering with him at this point? Like, what did they gain?
I don't know. It's like it feels like
understand
pity. It feels like pity.
Yeah, and I feel like
there's no way he's gonna be an effective player anymore. That would be unprecedented for him to come back from this and still be effective.
They're probably just still so like awestruck of how good he was back when he was hitting those majestic home runs. And,
I'm all for loyalty to players, especially former greats. I'm like a very adamant person about that, but I would say he is not someone I think needs that treatment or deserves that treatment. So
yeah,
I feel like for him. He's had his shot. He made a good career. Even though he made a lot of mistakes, like, it's fine. Retire, be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's being dragged on like this.
I feel they're not keeping around so much that he might be able to help the team, but I think they're trying to help him more than anything because.
Screw that. Like, you're
I'm not saying that's my philosophy.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
See, outside of Texas, he's had issues like that could be potentially life threatening. So, I think it might just be for his sake that they're keeping him on these cheap contracts.
They've seen the contract the Angels gave him, right? He's not like in any bad state right now. He's definitely doing fine for himself.
Well, a lot of money can buy a lot of cocaine, so.
Oh, that's true.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about financial. I'm talking about him being clean because he towards the end of his tenure with the Angels, there was reports about that maybe.
Yeah. He's another fascinating character.
Yep.
All right. Sorry, I went silent there for a second. Yeah. There are actually other things to talk about though. believe it or not. Well, we can just talk about a few other player updates that I've seen here in the past few days, if you want to. For one, I mean, this player update is actually just a news story that I neglected to mention at the beginning. But Alex Reyes, one of the top pitching, actually the top pitching prospect in all of baseball, is going to have Tommy John surgery, and that sucks. But you know, I sound so distraught about it, I know. But the fact is that this basically happens to everybody. And it's a sad truth.
Fascinating. It's almost like
truth.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much our opinion, I think, as fans and as analysts of Tommy John has changed so much in the past decade.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas
Like
it was a death sentence as little as 5 years ago for some guys, whereas now it's just accepted as part of being a professional pitcher. It's it's whatever. He'll come back. It's fine.
Yeah.
They don't all come back fine, but we kind of just assume at this point, incredibly, that they're more likely that they're going to come back just as good, if not better, than be worse, it just shows how much this injury and solving it has progressed.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays when you hear a guy has Tommy John surgery, you're not disappointed in the fact that, his career might be over. You're disappointed in the fact that he's out for such a long period of time. You don't care about his form coming back, because a lot of guys have come back from it in as good or better form.
Yeah, I miss I kind of missed the feeling so sad about hearing that a pitcher needs Tommy John surgery. It was oh man, this is awful. This is just awful for the game. This guy's getting me out of the game for so long. And now it's just all right, so we'll pencil him in for this year and a half, and he might struggle, but he might come back fine, and we'll just throw him back in the mix then. And especially for young pitchers now, I'm like, all right, so when can we expect their Tommy John to come? We've already decided that they're going to have one. It's just a matter of when. And it's sad. It's just sad. But yeah, if you want to, we can talk about the actual significance of this from a baseball standpoint. Surprise, surprise. What the Cardinals' rotation right now? Reyes was definitely going to get a shot in that rotation. So the back end, that fifth slot, still probably up for grabs. I don't exactly know what kind of competition they'll see there. Lance Lynn is going to be coming back relatively soon, I think. The reports I've seen show that he's probably not going to be back for opening day. They're going to take it easy with him, but there haven't been any setbacks in his recovery. I'm curious to see what the Cardinals are going to do.
I completely forgot Lance Lynn existed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, I could make a whole list of players that we forgot existed, players that have risen from the dead.
I mean, I'm sure when we discuss the NL Central, we can dive into in detail what their rotation is probably going to look like at the start of next season.
That does sound good, because we will be we'll give you the full breakdown after we talk a little bit more about some of these other player updates that we got. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of stuff that's happened so far. A lot of minor stories. Jung-Ho Gung is still not in camp because he's facing some DUI charges in Korea. There's random stories like that which are really fun to watch. Trey Turner missed the day of spring training because he was called for jury duty. It's that weird time, with all the weird stories. I don't know. Something else that we could talk about a little bit. Oh, still in the NL Central, surprise. Kyle Schwarber will probably be catching for the Cubs as a third string type option, but will definitely practice as a catcher, it seems. So, for all of you worried about Kyle Schwarber, if he's ever going to catch again, it looks like it. It looks like his injury has not prevented him from ever squatting down behind home plate ever again.
I was surprised by that story, because I thought he had been phased out for the most part as a catcher in general, not just because of his injury, but because of his defensive deficiencies back there.
I mean, he's still a third string catcher. It's not like he's gonna.
Yeah, no, I know he's not gonna be the starter. Montero's there. Contreras still there.
Yeah, and Contreras, by the way, does look like the front runner for that starting job. He'll take most of the time up there.
He did. If he can hit like he did at the end of last year, he'll be.
Yeah. The thing about these spring training stories is there's so many just insignificant things that when you see something that that might be relevant, it gets lost in the mix. For the most part, I personally treat all the stories about like he's in the best shape of his life, and he's ready to have a big year, and this player wants to try to do this more. Like I pretty much dismiss those entirely. I don't know. How do you guys feel about like just the spring training?
Well, the
stories?
interesting thing about the best shape of the life is like I'm kind of curious if there's even correlation between that and like performing better. Cause like you have Pablo Sandoval, who like every year he would lose weight, he would perform worse. And I'm sure there's more guys who obviously perform better than worse. But like there's like spring training's just a large amount of news, and very few of it has substance. It's as much training for the players as it is for as a fan for the season.
Yeah, like we're so eager to make something out of it,
Yeah.
The same goes for like those little injuries too. Like any injury note can raise concern, but like the fact is a lot of times they're just playing it really safe. Like I think Josh Donaldson is going to miss a couple weeks with some sort of leg injury.
I think it was a calf.
Some calf like minor calf injury. Like again, I'm not worried about that at all. It doesn't affect the outlook on the season. It's just white noise basically. There are certain stories with players coming back from injury that I'll look at more closely, like Michael Brantley, for instance, or pitchers coming back from Tommy John, like Lance Lynn and Alex Cobb. Remember Alex Cobb? I'm interested in Alex Cobb.
Alex Cobb. He came as a surprise out of that Reyes rotation, and then he got hurt. Matt Moore got hurt, and Chris Archer sucked, and then it went downhill.
Yeah, I mean, like this guy, he pitched last year, but it's another.
He pitched at the end of last year. He pitched decent, but
he pitched awful actually. But you
right.
can't take that as like, oh, okay, that's what he is now. That's not a fair sample for him. Zach Wheeler, the man who has been out of baseball longer than Derek Jeter has.
Which is like truly an absurd stat when you think about it.
Yeah. But like he's contrary to popular belief, he's still a pitcher, and I think he's doing better with.
It's like Sung Yeon Min still alive. Does that guy still exist?
Wait, what? Who?
Sun Young Min is that his name?
Oh, Hyunjin Ryu.
That's what I meant. How do you know?
Hyunjin what?
The only reason I like somehow knew that is because of like the connection. Like I traded him to you in fantasy. That's the only reason I knew about that.
The guy's been hurt so long I forgot his name. Like
I think he's not even a issue, and I think there's still he's still rehabbing to some extent.
He's throwing bullpens right now, but
like, that's crazy.
It is crazy. Like it's amazing how delicate a lot of these injuries and these arm injuries are, and how careful teams are being with it. Like they have to be, but it seems ridiculous from a fan perspective. You're like, man, this guy's still like not better. Like what's he been doing? Like, I mean, it's not his fault, I guess, or maybe it is. I don't know.
A little bit. I mean, it's a labrum, and I guess he had been pitching with a damaged labrum for a little bit before he really went down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then that didn't help.
Yeah. Who else can we throw on this this back from the dead list? I mean we're rolling with it. We might as well like keep it rolling if we can. Greg Bird is back from the dead. I'm excited to see that. I think he is.
Oh yeah.
He's probably gonna get the starting job, which is what this is just an early report, but they obviously have Chris Carter. They have Tyler Austin too. They can work in. They can give him time off against lefties if they decide they need to. I'm excited for him though. I don't know. Who else fits this mold? I'm trying to think. The thing about thinking about players that have disappeared is you don't know who they are. They lurk in the shadows.
That's pretty deep.
It was deep. Yeah, I like. Eric Gagne is trying to make the comeback.
Oh,
he's coming back from the dead.
He's trying to make a major league comeback.
Trying to make a major league comeback.
Dude, that guy.
I think we should just see how the World Baseball Classic goes first. He's probably gonna throw 10 pitches and then get carted off the field. That's my prediction.
I mean, he's a former Cy Young winner. I'll give him that, but
Well, we can talk about a couple players who are coming back from the dead that actually got signed to teams. I mean, exaggerating. Jered Weaver signed with the Padres. I think his arm is now the equivalent of like a shriveled up balloon.
Yeah.
I
think I can throw harder than Jered Weaver, and I don't throw very hard.
Yeah, the phrase "I can now throw faster than a major league pitcher" really doesn't mean anything because of him.
I mean, when Jamie Moyer was in his prime in his 40s, that's when everyone knew they could make that claim pretty easily.
Yeah,
but he was in his he pitched when he was 50, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he reached
Wasn't
50.
that?
I think he was.
I think it was
in his
48,
late
48.
49. But
Yep.
yeah, it's that type of.
But Jered Weaver's what, in his mid-30s as the oldest?
Oh yeah, he's not an
his
old
decline,
man.
his decline was pretty incredible.
Sharp. Because he came in throwing low mid-9s, right?
Yeah, he was throwing. He's got it up
He
in the
came in
mid-90s when he was throwing.
Yeah.
Apparently, like I think Farbode's mentioned this before too, but apparently he just did not take good enough care of his arm at all. Like he didn't go through the same types of like he was running on pure talent basically, and he didn't take care of his arm, and he burnt out really quick. So take care of your arms, kids and adults, and major league pitchers. So don't be the next Jered Weaver.
Yeah, I would say his career is actually a little bit disappointing. Honestly, in all overall, like, I really thought he would have done more. If you would asked me like 6 or 7 years ago, where he would be now, I would have thought he would have had a definitely more successful career than he ended up having.
Same with Tim Lincecum, who is
at least he won 2 Cy Youngs. At least he won 2 Cy Youngs. I mean, I'll give him that. Like,
yeah,
I'd probably rather have Tim Lincecum's career than Jered Weaver's, to be honest.
And the thing is, I mean, Lincecum got hurt, and you can understand that, but Weaver he's lost 10 plus miles an hour on all those pitches.
Yeah.
That's just sad.
I mean, meanwhile, you start feeling good when you see the spring training stories like Noah Syndergaard is put on so and so amount of muscle and is ready to start throwing harder. Like when Noah Syndergaard's ready to start throwing harder, that gets you excited, even though
that's another thing.
Has he had Tommy John? Because I feel like it's going to be this year.
He's definitely
not yet.
It's going to be this year.
That's the response.
I'm definitely curious to see if any like amount of muscle affects your like Tommy John rates. I'm be interested to see if there's any like correlation between.
I have a bad feeling that like
really
if he's bulking up, that's just going to make his risk more.
Yeah,
because...
I have a suspicion of that as well.
I mean, I don't know. Felix Hernandez also is another one of those stories. Like he is in that I don't know. He's in that CC Sabathia, Justin Verlander territory of like, is he going to start to fizzle out? And we'll see if he goes the CC route or if he goes the Verlander route. He claims he's ready to start throwing harder than ever this year.
I give Verlander all the credit in the world for really like turning his career around. It's a very difficult and rare thing to do. So
yeah.
I don't think every top guy can do that, to be honest.
I mean, he was toast. He was the definition of toast, and he
and now
toasted.
He probably should have won the Cy Young last year. So that's a turnaround that very few guys can accomplish, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Did you have...
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to go ahead and move on from that, too. What was I... Oh, yeah. So, Jonathan Niese, the man who I feel like the past, 2-3 years have always been like, watch out for this guy. He should be on your radar. He might have a good year this year and surprise you. He signed with the Yankees on a very cheap 1-year deal also. And I don't know what to expect. He's definitely that 6th starter. He'll make the rotation if he pitches well in spring training. That kind of deal. But man, I keep thinking about these guys that I'm like, there's a lot of guys out there for sure that I'm like, this guy's gonna be good. He's gonna do something good. I can tell. And then sometimes I think that, and then they're Jon Niese. So I don't. What do you guys think about this? Rudy,
I think you summed it up really well, to be honest. I think you really described him very well. He definitely had some good years on the Mets. Everyone thought he'd be great on the Pirates because they're pitcher whisperers, and they make all those mediocre guys have great seasons, and he didn't really do too well. I think he's a fine innings eater at this point.
Can we trade him for Neil Walker?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good trade for the Mets. I think if he's a fifth starter in your rotation, like, you're fine. Like, I don't think he's anything to rave about anymore. I don't think he will be ever again. But I mean, I think the Yankees did a very good job this offseason, in all honesty, finding cheap, like low key guys like him and Chris Carter and Holiday to and they got. I know last year they traded very late, and they traded for Tyler Clippard under there. I think. For a team known for their splashy moves, Cashman's did a good job filling out his now prospect-filled roster with good veterans who, aren't going to win you, carry you to the playoffs, but they're not going to lose you any games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what site named them the number one farm system again?
MLB.com.
Yeah, it's exciting as a Yankees fan, and I'm also kind of like, how did this happen? I'm almost concerned about it. But it is what it is. That's probably all there is to that. Let's see. Oh, there's a couple more transactions that we can talk about. Pretty minor ones for the most part. Brandon Phillips was traded from Cincinnati Reds to the Atlanta Braves, which, a couple of years ago that would have been a huge deal. Like, Brandon Phillips, like, he was a stud, and he still kind of is a really good low-key player, but they traded him basically for nothing. Atlanta's not even paying most of Phillips' contract. But they did get him. I just wanted to mention they did get him because it is likely that Sean Rodriguez will not play at all this season. He was injured in not a major injury, but he was injured in a car accident. I think even before spring training. So he's out for the season. They had to improvise. They ended up getting Brandon Phillips, which is kind of like, it's kind of amazing that it finally happened. So many rumors about Phillips getting traded.
Yeah.
And now it's real.
Can I ask two questions for you guys on this move? I don't understand. One's the same, I guess, one's question. The Reds, I think, really kind of screwed up here, like, low key. Not that it probably doesn't really matter in the long run, and I know Phillips had those no trade clauses, but they end up trading that guy for nothing. And I feel like they had so many opportunities to at least get some value back. I know there was a lot of, his contract's been very, like, on and off. Is it a good deal? Is it a bad deal? Is it overpay? Is it fine? And I know, like, people weren't always desperate for him, but the fact that in the end they didn't really get anything for that team that was, like, one of the best teams in the league for 2 or 3 years, they really didn't turn any of those guys into, like, good prospects, is a pretty poorly done rebuild, I would say. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot, like, a huge chunk of that rebuild that is yet to really...
Right, but they didn't really do a good job turning that team into assets directly.
Yeah, that's true. I would definitely agree with that. And then
the only question I have is, why is this a deal even necessary for the Braves? The Braves aren't trying to make the playoffs. Why do they need to... I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if the Reds are paying most of the contract anyways. Might as well do it, not really give any value. But I'm very curious what their incentive was, because they're not really trying to win this year, as far as I understand. I could be wrong. I could be confused, but
from the Braves' perspective, they have a new stadium this year, and they're just trying to get people in.
Okay.
But like the Bartolo Colon signing, the Ari Dickey signing, it's kind of PR at this point. But I mean,
yeah, okay.
They have halfway decent players now, which I don't know. They could surprise for 1 year maybe.
Yeah, they've been very active. They're definitely living up to be the big market team they want to be, and it's kind of like they're ready to win now, or they want to be ready to win now, but they're just not quite there yet. And I don't know if it's a good thing that they're kind of like they're going with this like optimistic approach and trying to build as good a team as possible with what they can, and then see what happens with it. Like, build around Freddie Freeman and Dansby and see what you can do while you still can. But yeah, it just doesn't, like, there's too much competition in the National League for them to really be in the conversation for a wild card spot. It'd be really tricky. They don't really have the same kind of depth that all the big NL Central teams and even like the Nationals and all these powerhouse teams in the NL, like, It's just
Yeah,
it's just not there.
Even with this, they're at best the fourth best team in their division in the NL East.
Well,
I think they could have an argument for third. But
yeah,
they could, but I
definitely
mean,
do.
the Marlins were in contention last year at least.
They're
Yeah,
not the
I mean
same
they did
team,
lose.
sadly.
They did lose. They sadly did lose. Like,
Yeah.
a very important piece there.
They signed a Volquez, I think, though.
Yeah, Edison Volquez, like, he
it's
pitched
not a
well in
per-
the postseason. He's completely overrated as far as a regular season pitcher.
Did you just indirectly compare?
No,
Edison Volquez to Jose Fernandez?
I was about to say it's not. It's far from a perfect replacement,
Right.
but it is a replacement of sorts. They didn't go out and get complete crap.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about it more when we do end up talking about the NL East, which we'll probably do next time. Yeah, well, I like how I slammed the door on the NL East, but now we're going to talk about Matt Wieters signing with the Nationals.
I love it. I think it's an outstanding job by the Nationals. I have no idea how Matt Wieters lasts this long. I know he's a disappointing former top mega prospect. I know he's had injury issues. I know, he's not nearly as productive as he used to be, but he's still like a very solid starting catcher, which is like not a very common, MLB commodity. I feel like there aren't really that many of these guys, and he made the All-Star team last year. I'm
really freaking crazy.
Yeah,
he made the All-Star team, and he just got signed to a very cheap deal. Like, bravo to the Nationals. I don't know how they pulled that off. I mean, his production last year wasn't. I'm not saying it was like. It's not gonna drag you to the World Series from catcher, but I mean he's fine. I mean his production is definitely acceptable for a catcher. Like, I think that's a great job by the Nationals.
Yeah.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. My perspective is that as a catcher myself, he's not a good defender.
Wait, what? Matt Wieters isn't a good defender?
He's not a good receiver, at least. His blocking is iffy. His arm is good, but I'm surprised AL team didn't take a shot at him so that, like the Orioles last year, he could DH if he had to. I'm surprised he lasted this long, and then an NL team signed him.
I mean, yeah, it's just kind of like there wasn't a great fit for him out there. The Nationals did have Derek Norris, who now, I guess he's a backup catcher. Derek Norris was really productive offensively not very long ago. So I guess they just decided Matt Wieters is definitely an upgrade over Norris.
They could have.
I completely forgot Derek Norris on Nationals.
They could have splits that work out very well for all we know. Mm-hmm. They could be a good platoon, a good offensive catcher platoon.
Wieters is a switch hitter.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, he won 2 Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah, well, he's got an arm, but he's
not a good receiver. Really,
he's not a good receiver.
Does he still have an arm post Tommy John? Does he still have a great arm?
I don't know exactly because he still hasn't played much post Tommy John. I haven't gotten a good look.
Yeah, he's an experienced guy. It's not like I'm not trying to say he's not what he used to be. He's definitely gonna get the job done from a defensive and from a running the game perspective, and also with the bat a lot more than most catchers would.
I mean, I gotta say, I feel like he's another guy who this offseason got really screwed by the timing of their free agencies. I think if he was a free agent 2 or 3 years ago, he would have made so much more money.
Yeah.
Just the unfortunate luck of the draw, and actually can't control that. But I think he's another guy. I think there's a lot of guys this offseason who just totally, unfortunately, completely missed their window to get paid with their free agencies.
Absolutely.
It was a really weird offseason because I think the teams that had holes were teams that didn't want to spend big.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just that shift. Well, we'd rather not just go all in for this guy who's, he's a really good hitter, hits for a lot of power, or he's a great track record, but we'd rather just kind of roll with what we got and then see what we have there, and maintain that long-term goal in mind without adding that player. It's weird. It's definitely weird. So I think that's pretty much all the news stories that we've got. We'll go ahead and talk about the very exciting NL Central the division with the best of teams and the worst of teams. I think that's the best way to describe it.
I think it's actually a very fascinating division overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think it's pretty undisputedly the biggest divide between the top and bottom teams in that division, right?
It's definitely every team is terrible, rebuilding positively, good, mediocre, great team. Is every single type of team.
Yo, I'm podcasting.
Hello.
I'm muted now. It's fine. Go. Yeah, sorry.
I'm here. Okay, I was worried. We drop it again.
It's very scary when you do that.
It's okay. I'm keeping you on your toes. It's fine.
I think it did it earlier in mine when we were talking about the Phillips trade. Like, oh no, what happened?
Oh yeah. No, I'm here. I definitely
Good.
I thought you were rolling pretty good, Rudy. I thought you had that under control. Anyway, yeah, it's definitely plenty of the teams in this division, probably aside from the Cardinals, have seen a pretty substantial rebuild, either currently or in recent years. Like the Cubs for sure definitely blew it up and were successful.
Do we want to start with maybe the Cardinals then, because they're finally kind of maybe. Yeah, I think they're finally, their dynasty is kind of finally reaching, that end point. To me, at least it seems like. And they're still a very good team, but they're definitely, to me, not the championship, anywhere near the championship contending level that they were year in and out for like a decade straight. Yeah, they're very solid still, though. Like they're not. I think they can make the playoffs, but I don't think they're contending to win the World Series personally.
I don't think they. It'd be a stretch to say they're World Series contender, but I feel like in that division with what the Cubs have done, the Cubs have had a weird offseason in my opinion, but the Cardinals have made improvements in the right areas, I think, and they could surprise just with the way the Cardinals are. They could surprise in that division, but yeah, I agree. They don't have the names that they did to really contend for a World Series year in, year out.
I am going to dispute that pretty adamantly because the Cardinals have a very good lineup and a pretty decent, you talk about in terms of a dynasty, they have a decent core of players still. It's not like the flow of young guys has just stopped entirely. Like, you reach the end of the Matt Holliday era. Yadier Molina is still there. He's still the best catcher defensively in all of baseball. So, it's not like everything's quite gone yet.
Two things, though. One, the rotation is very suspect. So, let's say Wainwright, Martinez, Leak, Lynn, Waka is the 5. The only one of those guys who's a guaranteed above average starter next year is Martinez. All those other guys were either hurt last year or had very disappointing years, or aging and on the decline. None of those guys, except for 4 of those 5 guys, are, I think, more minuses than pluses. Or at the best, they're just guys who are just a wash, in my opinion. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but that's how I feel until they prove otherwise. So he's going by last year's stats. And then offensively, the only guy in that lineup who really scares me is Matt Carpenter. No one else.
Really?
There's really personally no one else. I think they have a good lineup.
That is brutal.
They have a Dexter Fowler lineup. Doesn't scare you?
No, he's very balanced, but Dexter Fowler, for all as great as what was last year, doesn't it's hard. He didn't have his year last year wasn't like a fucking Mike Trout season. They don't have.
Nobody has a Mike Trout season though.
But in my opinion, they only one top 25 or so. They don't really have one all-star caliber offensive player in my opinion.
Aledmys Diaz is an all-star caliber offensive player in my mind.
Okay.
Not a defender.
And a young player. He's a very solid piece that they have in the middle of the field.
You know me that I take a long time for my opinion on a player to go from I take a while to be satisfied by a guy and prove that he's consistent. So Aledmys Diaz has only had one season. For as long as you've known me, I don't usually account guys who break out of nowhere for 1 year as guarantees for the next season. That's just my approach, and I've always been that way. So I can see your point, but my personal viewpoint of baseball, I never count those guys as automatics, putting in the lineup all-star caliber player for the next season. I'm very conservative that way.
All right. Well, I do want to ask you though. You say they don't have that MVP candidate caliber player.
No, I think Matt Carpenter can be that guy, but I think
no. I mean, that's even a bit of
I
a stretch.
think that's
but
a stretch.
Who was that guy when they were winning World Series? Who was that guy?
Well, the last World Series they won was 2011, right?
Yeah, or I mean, even they were in the World Series
in
plenty.
06, in 06 it was clearly Pujols. I mean, he was clearly the guy.
I'm talking more so in the last,
like
in the most recent.
I would say
age of the
Wainwright was a
dynasty.
Cy Young caliber pitcher year in and year out.
I'm talking about an
2011.
MVP caliber position player, which is much different.
Well, I said their main issue was their starting staff for me, not their.
Well, you did mention.
I just said I think their offense is very solid. I just don't think they're full of stars. That doesn't necessarily mean I think their rotation is going to be the main thing that holds their back. I wasn't trying to imply that their offense is like going to be a disadvantage. I just don't think it's like enough to totally just to make up for their lack of starting pitching. If that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
that's what I was trying to. If I didn't put that well the first time, that's my apologies for not explaining it well. But that's what I was trying to imply and convey.
The thing is, like, if we had this conversation 2 weeks ago and Alex Reyes was ready to,
it's very different. It's completely different. You're right. It's completely different. But he's not. He's out.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if we're talking about Alex Reyes,
in 2011 they still had Pujols, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But with Alex Reyes, I think he was a maybe breakout star. Obviously, a very big potential, but now it's that potential has gone down for that rotation. Like you said, Martinez is the only guy who is on any kind of upswing, and like Wainwright had Achilles last year and hasn't been as sharp. Walker, I don't know what happened to Michael Walker. And then Lance Lynn and Mike Leaker, 4 and 5. It's not good.
I mean, yeah, like we're not saying the rotation is great by any means. We're not saying it's bad either. Like these guys are not gonna tank. They're definitely still.
No, I think you
can almost shoe them in for a wild card at this point.
Yeah, 100%. All I'm trying to say is that I don't think this team is. I think this is like the dynasty is starting to wane a little bit, which is inevitable. And sadly, like they've been very unfortunate with their prospects. They've drafted well between injuries and just unfortunate things like Oscar Taveras. And this is just the inevitable cycle of sports. So I just don't think they this year have what it takes to contend for the World Series, which is fine. They're still a very good team.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the Cardinals a lot, but I do want to just like highlight again. Like what I feel are like the bright spots about this team. Obviously, one, I have a very high opinion of Aledmys Diaz. I think he's not a fluke. I think he's definitely shown that he has obviously the offensive ability based on the numbers he's put up, but the poise to improve and continue to build upon his game and improve his defense and become that guy hopefully in the coming years. Stephen Piscotty also has the makings to be that model of consistency in baseball. I feel like if we talk about the Cardinals 5 years from now, Stephen Piscotty is going to be considered one of the pieces in the center of that dynasty. That's how highly I think of him.
That's fair.
Yeah. The Cardinals are not the only division in the NL Central. I've found out. What the fuck?
They are not.
They are not the only.
They are not the only
what the fuck
division in
happened?
the NL Central.
They're not the only division. I didn't know the NL Central had its own divisions.
You're not wrong.
I was mistaken. They are. That is all. We are done. No, I'm just kidding. The Cubs don't really need to be.
I would have been hilarious if you dropped the call right there.
Just end it right there. The Cubs. I don't. Do you guys have anything really to say about the Cubs other than the fact that they're the best team in baseball? Like,
I'm not ready to say that. I'm not too confident in saying that. I don't know what to think of the Cubs. I feel like
I can't tell if he's joking.
I'm not joking.
I can't tell. I was gonna say the same thing actually.
I'm not joking. I don't completely buy it because they were very good last year. But so Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant, they'll produce similar numbers. Their offensive production, I think, will be similar. My concern is they lost Dexter Fowler, so Jason Hayward's gonna have to play every day.
He played
And
every
that's
day
not-
last year.
Yeah, but then like but he's going to play in center field, which could be even worse. But
Well, he's one of the best defensive players in.
No, I'd say
of baseball.
Almora
That's-
Jr. is probably going to start in center.
Yeah.
Which is also a
Yeah, maybe right.
really good defensive player with a lot of potential. Like there's so
I would say, like,
Yeah.
the
personally,
arguments you can make
like,
against this team are so thin.
personally, I don't think this team is any worse than last year's insane juggernaut. Okay, yes, they lost Hamill. Okay, they've got Brett Anderson and Mike Montgomery can pitch in the rotation if they need to. That's fine. Fine. They have other guys who they can fill in for that fifth starter. They can always trade for a guy midseason if they have to. Yeah, they lost Dexter Fowler. Dexter Fowler had an amazing first half. His second, he ended up by the end of the year, like there's nothing like irreplaceable. He's good in the playoffs. Like, he's a great player, but I don't think between John Jay and Almora's production and, Zobrist and Schwarber platooning, and I think Hayward's going to have a better year. I'm a perennial believer in Jason Hayward. I'll never stop believing in his talent. I fucking love that guy. He's been so disappointing for all his abilities so far offensively, but I'll never stop believing. I think Baez is going to have a better year next year. I think Russell's going to keep on improving at a really important development year last year. I think you can get that average up. I don't think they're really any worse, personally. I think the only thing that could hurt them is if Hendricks and Arrieta and Lester all declined, and Lackey. If all four of those guys decline simultaneously, which isn't impossible.
If all four of those guys just were not good, then they would not be good.
Well, because they all have their own issues that, Lackey and Lester are getting up there in age and innings, and Hendricks and Arrieta are both guys who kind of, came out of nowhere a little bit. But, I mean, I really think this team is going all the way back to at least the NLCS, personally. I'd be very disappointed if they weren't there.
I mean, for me, I maybe it's just a pessimist in me. I always worried about detraction. You see all these high numbers that they won 108 games last year.
Yeah,
something like that. I mean, it's hard to match that win total again. And I feel like the Cardinals have improved enough to possibly contend for the division, and also, yeah. I mean, from a Dodger fan's perspective, the Cardinals are so frustrating because
the Cardinals are like one of the least frustrating teams to be a fan of. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'm not. I'm a fan against the Cardinals, which is why it's frustrating.
Okay. I misunderstood.
As a Dodgers fan, I'm saying, like, I almost compare them to the Giants of the Central, and that they might not have all the pieces, but they just always seem to manage and get it done somehow. But like with the Cubs, they lost Chapman, and Wade Davis is a really good pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the Cubs, not that they had to add, but some of the changes concern me, I guess. And like you said, the starting rotation, Arrieta looked a little more average last year, and Hendricks, I don't know what to think of Hendricks. I don't know if he can keep it up. And then Lester and Lackey are just getting older.
They won 103 games, by the way.
I don't think
it looks the same.
I don't think they're going to win 103 games again at all, but I don't see how this team is significantly worse unless just so much goes wrong. And honestly, the guys who are running this team are so smart and so talented at what they do that I would trust them to find a way, even if some of the worst possible things happen.
Okay, so I guess I was wrong. There was definitely a lot of concerns about the Cubs, I guess, and you guys definitely talked a lot more about what I think would undisputedly be the best team.
I still think
in baseball.
I still think they're going to the NLCS at the very least, at the most.
Yeah.
And I think that's their floor. But I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Like, they probably peaked last year. It'd be really hard to see them be better. I think that's what you're really trying to convey, which is fine. That's one of the best teams in history. Like, they probably shouldn't be better. But yeah.
So wait, I just want to know if they're not the best team in baseball, who's your team? Who do you have as the best team in baseball?
Right behind them.
Right behind them.
You could probably say the Red Sox. You could probably argue are better.
Red Sox, and even the Dodgers. If you look piece by piece at them, you could.
I don't think the Dodgers are. I think you can make the argument for the Red Sox. I still think the Cubs are the best. Like, I would give the respect to the team that fucking won the World Series, but
No,
you
yeah,
you can make the Red Sox argument.
I'm not saying they're all of a sudden like the fifth best team in baseball, but I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
concerns that they're gonna, like, obviously,
Fair.
like I said, we all know that they peaked, and I'm worried how far they're gonna come down from that peak this year.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, so there's three other teams that have really, they're just kind of sitting in the corner waiting for one of these teams to just, slip up or wait for those dynasties to die down a little bit. I really don't know. Like, the Brewers and Reds rebuilds have just been incredibly slow and not very promising, just based on what they have right now. It's not a Cubs rebuild by any means.
Well, they're very difficult like markets to rebuilding because they have absolutely no free agent power at all. And like I said earlier, I think the Reds did a very poor job at tearing down their previous roster. Which actually, on the other hand, I think the Brewers did a very acceptable job at it. And I think they're probably going to have a long rebuild. But Lewis Brinson, Josh Hader, are very solid prospects. Corey Ray. I mean, they have talent. They still have Ryan Braun for some reason. I think it's fascinating that he's still somehow on the Brewers, and like everyone just forgets that this guy had an incredible year last year, and
another cheater.
Yeah, another cheater. They're a very boring team, I would say. They don't really have.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Arcia is pretty good. Orlando Arcia, another good young guy. Jonathan Villar had a very great underrated year last year. He's only 25, so they have some young talent. Travis Shaw. I think they're in a better situation personally than and they have some good, solid young starting pitching. I think there's a lot more hope for them than the Reds personally at the moment. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I think when it comes to baseball rebuilds, it's hard to do one quickly because one player can't really make a difference, and it's hard to. You don't always get that one player that comes along right away. That's why it was so surprising that the Cubs went from were such a quick rebuild, it seemed, and all of a sudden NLCS to a World Series, and now they're the best team in baseball. So that was very surprising. So I think, like, I agree, the Brewers are in a much better spot than the Reds are. The Reds just seem to be spinning their wheels when it comes to dealing their guys away.
I don't think the Cubs rebuild was like surprised, or the Cubs like success was surprising at all. Like, I remember distinctly how absolutely loaded their farm systems were. Like, right now we're talking like these are some nice pieces these teams have, but the Cubs are absolutely just flooded with talent and like superstar talent, like Chris Bryant and like Anthony Rizzo, and it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see these guys. And then it's like it actually came to fruition, and it's like
I mean,
it's a much different case.
When the Cubs went to the NLCS in 2015, everybody said, "Oh, this is surprising," because they were a year or two away. So it was surprising that they knew they were gonna be good. They didn't know they were going to be good that year.
Like, can I be honest here for a second? Like, the Reds rebuild is incompetent, and no one cares because of the Reds. But their highest rated prospect, according to MLB, which I'm not saying are the gods of prospects, but they usually give you a pretty good general idea of how good a team's prospects are, is 44. That's horrible for a rebuilding team. And their next highest guy is 53. I mean, they have, I think, which is fine. I think they have 3 top 100 guys. That's honestly not, and they're all in the 50s. That's pretty poor for a team that's already been rebuilding for 2 or 3 years.
Surprisingly better than the Twins.
Not well. The Twins are, I mean,
the Twins have.
The
Twins also have. I know, wrongly, but just a quick note. I saw this because I want to say it. The Twins have 3 top 100 guys, just like the Reds, but only 1 in the top 90.
Wow.
It's
what's the
bad?
He's higher than any guy in the Reds, though. He's 36. So
yeah, but I mean, the Reds have the better average.
The Reds have a top prospect, the number 26 prospect, dude.
Number 26. I just missed it.
Nick Senzel. Yeah.
I don't see that. On here, it's I'm looking at 2016 prospects. MLB.com screwed me over.
Wow.
Well, no, they do have 2017. Like, I'm looking at it right now. They did.
I know, it's weird. No,
I think there's a user error.
No, I swear. So if you go to the Reds website, and they list the top 30 prospects for the team.
Yeah.
That's still last year's prospect.
Oh.
Which I did not realize until you just pointed that out. So my mistake. I'll just shut up.
Anyway, I'll associate some names to the numbers that you've been throwing out there. Like I said, Nick Senzel is like one of the more recent picks that they had, and he definitely has a lot of like offensive potential, some of the most in all of that draft class actually. And then Jesse Winker is a offensive player that is much closer. He's an outfielder who is I believe he's going to be in AAA this season and will probably likely find himself playing for the Major League club at some point in the season. He's supposed to be pretty solid. Amir Garrett's a lefty pitcher that they got coming up. I think those are the guys. I think Jose Peraza too. Jose Peraza is going to see pretty much full time at second base, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And like I'm really excited to see that. Like I really hope he doesn't turn into Billy Hamilton, but it's entirely possible. There's no guarantees for any of these guys really, so it's definitely not the same type of rebuild. They do have my favorite offensive player, Joey Votto. I'll give him that. So if I
how is Joey Votto like? How is he still on the Reds? Like why?
He wants to be there. Like, he wants to be there. He just
likes just like cashing his check, getting in his good
no,
his
he wants to be there when
he
wants to be around when all these young guys come up. He wants to be part
He's
of the
gonna be like 68
dynasty.
years old when that happens.
Well, if he still hits the way he does now, then I'll take it. I'd like to see him hit till he's 68 years old. Yeah, so I guess we don't care about the Pirates at all.
The Pirates are...
No, actually, I think the Pirates are fascinating. I think
the Pirates might be the most interesting team in the division, I agree.
I think they might be the most interesting in baseball. I don't understand what they're trying
Jesus,
to do at all.
I'm so wrong about these predictions. Like, yeah, you guys probably don't have a lot to say about the Cubs are the best team in baseball.
I have absolutely no idea what the Pirates are trying to do. I have no idea if they're trying to win, if they're trying to lose, if they're trying to just be mediocre forever. If they want to spend money, if they don't want to spend money. I have no clue what they want. But they're interesting. They have a lot of talent, but like they don't have a clearly great team. But also like their farm system it's good, but it's nothing to be like cream your pants over. I think they're a really interesting team. There's so many directions they could go. I mean they have Glasnow, Meadows, and Josh Bell. That's a pretty good trifecta of prospects amongst other guys. But of course they have a lot of major league talent on the roster, but I just think it's interesting. McCutchen and Cole, haven't really been recently as good as we've hoped. I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about him.
Yeah, I think what's most interesting to me right now is that outfield shakeout with McCutchen moving right, Marte going to center. I wonder how that'll affect them, if at all. But Garrett Cole, didn't he have a really good start to the season last year?
He did, and then he got hurt a couple times, but he never really found his way again.
I thought he kicked it off really well, but then he got disappointing. But I feel like the Pirates, they're confusing because they have a lot of talent that had down years last year, but then like they have some pieces, then you look at their roster and it's like it's not overwhelming, so you don't know. Like I said, they're basically perpetually mediocre.
I would say they're impossible to predict, and they really can only get so good as long as their ownership refuses to spend any money. I think that's really holding them back. It reminds me a lot of the Orioles recently, where just the ownership's complete refusal to really invest in the roster means they can only just get so good on in-house talent and winning trades and getting cheap guys who are underrated by other teams.
Yeah, I think they're boring just because they don't spend money. Like, I guess there's other teams that don't really, go after big free agent players, but like they've always seemed like they're on the brink of doing something great, and they just don't. So I'm kind of over it, and like McCutchen's kind of fading, as you've mentioned. They have good pieces, they just haven't done anything to like tie it all together. The prospects are definitely exciting. Some of them, very excited to see what Tyler Glasnow can do for them, especially. They definitely have plenty of pieces. They're not going to be a contending team, though, I think, with what they have. They don't have enough.
In that division, I don't think they can.
They're like that best case scenario team. Like if everything goes right for them, then they'll be really good. But like you can't expect everything to go right for a team.
But I just think that's why they're so interesting. Is all. There's a lot of ways this season can play out for them. I think it's really hard to predict. just how exactly good or bad they will be next year.
All right, then. I think we've gone through pretty much every team in the NL Central. We can talk about the Astros if you guys are feeling sentimental.
I knew that joke was coming.
But you didn't see it coming fast enough to stop it, sadly.
I just thought I'd just let you embarrass yourself.
All right, then. Well, I think that's a good place to stop me embarrassing myself. Yeah, so that's about all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. As always, feedback is very much appreciated. You tweet at us and check out our website. There's a lot of interesting articles and stuff that we've been working on that will all be posted there, so go ahead and check it out. Yeah, please leave us any feedback you have, and that is it for today. So, as always, and either of you guys can do it. Who's gonna say it first?
Peace.
Aha.
Peace.